President Biden is about to speak from the White House Rose Garden about today's major CDC announcement concerning face masks and COVID. The president now at the podium. Let's listen.
In our long battle with coronavirus. Just a few hours ago, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the CDC announced that they are no longer recommending that fully vaccinated people need wear masks. This recommendation holds true whether you are inside or outside. I think it's a great milestone, a great day. It's been made possible by the extraordinary success we've had in vaccinating so many Americans so quickly. To date, we've given out 250 million shots in 114 days. And we're seeing the results. Cases are down in 49 of 50 states. New York Times has reported that hospitalizations are the lowest they've been since April of 2020, over a year ago, right after the start of the pandemic. Deaths are down 80%, and also at their lowest level since April of 2020. And as the virus tragically rages in other countries, as other nations, even wealthy nations, are mired in the challenges of slow vaccine rollout and poor economic conditions, as a result, things are very different here. In less than 4 months, we've gone from 5.5% to nearly 60% of the adults in America with at least one shot in their arm. We've gone from stagnation to an economy that is growing faster than it has in nearly 40 years. We've gone from an anemic job creation to a record for job creation for a new administration. All of this is a product of prompt action to roll out the vaccine and boost our economy. As I said in my joint address to the Congress, this vaccination effort has been a historic logistical achievement for the United States of America. Over the past 114 days, our vaccination program has led the world, and that's due to the incredible hard work of so many people, the scientists and researchers, the drug companies, the National Guard, the U.S. military, FEMA, the nation's governors, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, everyone who has moved heaven and earth to get as many shots in the arms of as many Americans as possible. And it's truly been an all-hands-on-deck for the country effort. You know, some people said we couldn't do this, that it would not be until the fall that we had this many people vaccinated. That 2021 might be a lost year for our country, as 2020 was. But we proved the doubters wrong. I need to single out one more group to praise: the American people. The American people. For more than a year, you've endured so much, and so many lost jobs, so many businesses lost, so many lives upended, and so many months that our kids couldn't be in school. You couldn't see your friends or family. All the moments that mattered so much, from birthdays to weddings to graduations, all postponed. And most tragically at all, the lost lives. As the press here knows, I carry a card in my pocket with the number of lives lost to COVID as of the close of business yesterday. 580,073 lost lives. So many empty chairs. So many times a husband or a wife lean over to touch their spouse and not there. Moms and dads, sons and daughters, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, your neighbors, your coworkers. Having been there in other circumstances, I know it's of little solace right now, but I promise you, the day will come when the memory of the loved one you lost will bring a smile to your lips before it brings a tear to your eye. That's when you know you're going to get through it. You will get through it, but it's a long haul. You've endured all this. When your country asked you to get vaccinated, you did. The American people stepped up. You did what I consider to be your patriotic duty. That's how we've gotten to this day. As president, I can say I'm pleased, but I'm sure the vice president agrees with me. We're not surprised. Pleased but not surprised. Because the simple truth is this: the American people have never, ever, ever, ever let their country down. Never. This country is proving what we've known, we all known for so long. There's nothing we are unable to do when we put our minds, our hearts, and our souls into it, and we do it together. Now, I want to be clear about what the CDC is saying and what the CDC is not saying. The CDC is saying they have concluded that fully vaccinated people are at a very, very low risk of getting COVID-19. Therefore, if you've been fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. Let me repeat, if you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. But if you've not been vaccinated, or if you're getting a 2-shot vaccine and you've not gotten you only had your first shot, but not your second, or you haven't waited the full 2 weeks after your second shot, you still need to wear a mask. Look, we've gotten this far. Please protect yourself until you get to the finish line. Because as great as this announcement is today, we don't want to let up. We all know how tough this virus has been. The safest thing for the country is for everyone to get vaccinated. And getting vaccinated is easier than ever. We've worked so hard. We have 80,000 locations. 90% of you live within 5 miles of one of those locations. You can find a vaccine site near you by texting your zip code to the following number, 438829. Let me repeat. Text your zip code to 438829, and it'll get the places nearest you. You can go and get vaccinated now. And many places don't require an appointment. It's free. Just walk in, get the shot. Anyone 12 years or above in age is eligible. And for now, after a year of hard work and so much sacrifice, the rule is very simple. Get vaccinated or wear a mask until you do. It's vax-ed or masked. Get vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, you can be around the vaccinated or unvaccinated people. But if you're not vaccinated or not fully vaccinated, you should wear a mask for your own protection and the protection of other unvaccinated people. The choice is yours. You all made this possible. Now let's finish the work of beating this virus and getting everything back to normal. Remember, as fast as we've gone, most people under the age of 65 aren't vaccinated yet. We've opened vaccinations nationally to all adults just 4 weeks ago. It's going to take a little more time for everyone who wants to get vaccinated to get their shots. So all of us, let's be patient. Be patient with one another. You know, some may say, just feel more comfortable. Continue to wear a mask. They may feel that way. So if you're someone with a mask, you see them, please treat them with kindness and respect. We've had too much conflict, too much bitterness, too much anger, too much politicization of this issue about wearing masks. Let's put it to rest. Let's remember, we're all Americans. Let's remember that we are all in this together. If you're fully vaccinated and can take your mask off, you've earned the right to do something that Americans are known for all around the world. Greeting others with a smile, with a smile. So it's a good day for the country. We aren't done yet. We're still losing too many Americans because we still have too many unvaccinated people. We have to get to 70% of adults started on vaccinations by July the 4th. And we have to take this pandemic, tackle it, not just here, but overseas as well, to truly be safe in the long run. There's still more work ahead. But I've said many times, as tough as this pandemic has been, we will get through it. We will rebuild our economy, reclaim our lives, and get back to normal. We'll laugh again. We'll know joy again. And we'll smile again. You know, and now, see one another smile. Look at the smiles on other people's faces. Better days are ahead. I promise you. And the best days for America are still to come. I promise you that as well. Thank you. God bless you. And remember, it's never, ever, ever, ever been a good bet to bet against the American people. Thank you.
Americans still use their masks.
We don't enforce it. We, in fact, if you haven't been vaccinated, wear your mask for your own protection and the protection of the people who are also have not been vaccinated yet. It's not an enforcement thing. We're not going to go out and arrest people. But the fact of the matter is, I still believe the vast majority of the American people care about the safety of their neighbors and care about the safety of their families. And like I said, if you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear your mask and you can shake hands. You can even give each other a hug. But if you've not been vaccinated, please wear the mask. Please wear the mask. Thank you.
Is there any update on your meeting with the Republicans, sir?
We had a very, very good meeting. It was great to be back with so many of the colleagues that I had served with in the Senate, and I am very optimistic that we can reach a reasonable agreement. But even if we don't, it's been a good faith. There's a good faith effort that's been started.
Compromise on anything other than the corporate tax?
We didn't compromise on anything. What we did was I laid out what I thought we should be doing, how it should be paid for, and my colleagues in the Senate came back and said they'll come back to me with a counteroffer of what they are prepared to do and fund and how to fund it, and then we'll talk again next week. So thank you all so very much.
President Biden in the Rose Garden, just coming on just a short time after we heard from the CDC and those new guidelines that fully vaccinated people should no longer have to wear masks. And you see the president and vice president maskless, walking as close as we perhaps have seen them during their tenure at the White House. The president noting that smiles are now possible again. A lot of questions, though, about the science and the pressure and all the things that may have worked up to this day, what the president is calling a great day in this country. Let's turn to Chief White House Correspondent Peter Alexander. And Peter, it's important to point out there was a lot of pressure. Do we know how that played, though, into the ultimate call?
Well, as the president described it today, he said this is a great milestone and a great day. And the White House has said from the very beginning that it would be following the science. There had increasingly been some public health professionals saying that based on the science, they should be able to do this much sooner. Finally, they got to this place, announcing it publicly, as you heard a little bit earlier today, by the CDC director. So it was masks off and smiles on, as President Biden indicated to the gathered audience in the Oval Office, in the Rose Garden. The first time that we have seen the president and vice president together without their masks here. And there certainly had been that external pressure on this administration to have a singular message, to make it very clear, and really, Lester, to provide a reward in the campaign to get Americans vaccinated, to say, if you get vaccinated, you can return to your lives largely. The president saying that if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. And the belief is that this will inspire many of those other Americans that the president knows he needs to get to reach the limit that he has set of at least 170 million shots in arms of adults. 70%, I should say, shots in arms of adults by July 4th, 160 million that he wants fully vaccinated by that date. Obviously, there's been a slowdown in the vaccination rate to this point. But just to pull back the curtain here, there was a moment that played out behind closed doors in the Oval Office where the president was meeting with Republican lawmakers talking infrastructure. It started before 2 o'clock when the announcement was made. After the announcement was made by the CDC, the room became aware of that announcement. The president, vice president, and all those Republicans seen there wearing masks would take their masks off. And today in West Virginia, the First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, traveling with Senator Joe Manchin and the actress Jennifer Garner, was visiting schools talking about vaccines, and it was asked what this means to the people of West Virginia. Manchin said it means that we can be free, we feel free. The First Lady says we feel naked, and then she quickly caught herself and said we don't mean it that way. But this is a day that the White House is celebrating. Lester? All
right. Peter Alexander, thank you. NBC News senior medical correspondent Dr. John Torres is with us. Dr. John, this thing began as a silent enemy and still a silent enemy today, and therefore a lot of people are going to be very fearful to take these off. What should we know about the science that allowed them to go forward with this today?
And Lester, you bring up a good point, because we've been wearing masks for a whole year, so to let our masks down is essentially letting our guard down, and that's going to be hard to do. Over the next few weeks, though, I think you're going to see us doing that more and more often, and actually President Biden brought up a good point. He said if you see somebody wearing a mask, treat them with respect, because they want to make sure there aren't any repercussions or backlashes to people who wear masks and possibly aren't vaccinated at this point. But the science is showing us that right now, if you're vaccinated, the chances of catching coronavirus, and more importantly, the chances of spreading coronavirus, are very, very low. And so that's why they've issued this new guidelines. And he simplified what the CDC said, because the CDC earlier today came out with their guidelines, and he said it very quickly: get vaccinated or wear a mask until you do. It's vaccine or mask. And then he said the choice is yours. And they set the example there. You saw him and the vice president walking close to each other, not wearing masks, doing things that we haven't seen them do in over a year in any kind of public forum of any administration official. And so it's important to see that happening and seeing that we can do these things. They're trying to incentivize people for getting these masks or getting these vaccines, and they want to make sure that there's enough vaccines out there. And like he said at the end of his speech here, you've earned the right to greet each other with a smile. That's a truly American thing, and we need more people vaccinated so we can do that more often, Lester.
And before I let you go, just to be clear, when we say fully vaccinated, you get your final shot of whatever it is, and then 2 weeks have to go by?
Exactly. It's 2 weeks after your final shot. So for Pfizer and Moderna, it's 2 shots. 2 weeks after that second shot. For Johnson & Johnson, it's 2 weeks after that 1 dose. Then you're fully vaccinated. Until then, you still need to follow the guidelines for people that are unvaccinated. And again, that's all just to make sure, because we want to make sure we still keep people protected.
All right, Doc. Let's go to Chuck Todd now, NBC's political director and host and moderator of Meet the Press. Chuck, you were watching the president. Was that a mission accomplished speech?
I guess it's pretty close. I mean, it didn't have the fanfare, but in some ways, I think celebrating this today, I mean, the timing couldn't come at a better time for this White House, because frankly, things haven't been going well this week with the hack on the pipeline that caused the run on gas stations, and then this short-term gas shortage. So there's nothing like turning the page on masks and COVID to sort of create a new narrative for the day. So on that front, I think there's a bit of sort of having good news come out of the White House this week after what's been it's been a pretty challenging week. Some of this stuff is not of their own making, but certainly this, I think they want to lean hard into this, because frankly, Lester, a lot of they've been getting some criticism even from allies saying the CDC was taking too long to make this announcement. So I definitely think they want to marinate in this a little bit and almost celebrate it.
All right, Chuck Todd, thanks very much. We're going to have much more on this and all the day's news tonight on NBC Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt in New York. Thank you for joining us. I'll see you a bit later on this evening. Tonight, the main